Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and this little series. If you've been following, every day I have been posting a video regarding, my monthly playlists, and I've just been crafting them in a really pretty way, and it's made me excited to talk about them. So my first 2 months of the year were really not the best, I guess. Um, like January was still very much like a hibernation month, I feel like, and February was beautiful. Like it was also still hibernation though. Um, I enjoyed a lot of my February. I will say it a lot better than last year's February. So I hope to remain on that trend. Um, March was essentially like a wake up call month, I think, and it was just I don't know, it was a really beautiful month. Um and I just made this really pretty playlist that came out of it. And I'm excited to talk about it. I don't know what else to say. So, I bring you forth to Potted Seeds Need Release to Be Green. What the heck does that mean? What does that mean, Fabian? Well, in terms of my poetry, I've really wanted to I don't know, the this is a random thought real quick, but this will formulate and make sense. But I really like poetry because it hides what you want to talk about, but it still tells what you want to talk about. Excuse me. But yes, you can literally reveal something and but you mask it in a beautiful metaphor, or you give it a different meaning, and you know what it stands for, you yourself. But other people may interpret it very different, or they might understand you, or it might make absolutely no sense. So, with these titles, I feel like they say everything without saying anything at all. Potted seeds need release to be green. Oh, wait, what was it called? Potted seeds need sunshine for release to be green. I probably said my own title wrong in the very beginning. Um, but I loved this title because it's hinting at this evolution, and I know I did this in my very first video for our first playlist, guys, but I did not do this for the last one. I didn't really explain what the chameleon meant, but it's if you understand, you understand, I guess. And they just speak loudly for the month, that year. And seeds felt like an extension of what the chameleon is. This form that's ever changing. Um, that still needs like a sense of growth, like a cocoon of a sort. You know what I mean? So, um, it was really nice. It just felt like it paired really easily, and overall, to me, that month started to feel very warm. Not just literally that, it's breaking out of winter and it's those first nice days of spring and things like that, but um I don't know, it just I liked having this sense of a cycle, right? You have seeds with sun, they grow, release to be green, kind of like that final chain reaction, and a plant growth. You have all these essentials that you need for it to be something, And so that's what this kind of time even felt like for me that month, that it was something that was very much just at the beginning of being nurtured, if that makes sense. Sorry that takes me so long. It just takes me so long to explain things sometimes. But I have to give myself grace, guys. These are talking videos, by the way. So if you're not here to just listen to somebody talk and ramble, it's not a rant, because rant sounds like it could be a little negative. These are meant to feel warm and fun and whatever. Got a nice pineapple juice today. Keep things nice and fresh. So, to explain this month in blog style, this is what I wrote for you guys. This playlist pretty much formed itself. I am almost speechless when it comes time to speak about this month because it was so interesting in feeling and carried different levels of heaviness. The funny thing is, it started very beautiful and light, but there is always some sort of sadness sprinkled around our personal gardens. A theme that came to me so naturally very early on. These months have almost been calling me earlier than they happen, and like flowers, we grow. So while this, of course, has light and sunshine within it, so are beginning storms. Rainfall must occur in order to reach a heightened end with green arms out to reach. For music is the same, at least how it flowed to me this time. With multiple desires and creative outlets, it can be tough to feel focused, but for simple ideas and consistency, it just seemed that I didn't have to look too hard to remember what the positive signs are. What I mean by that are my signs keeping me on my toes and reminding me of things I felt weeks ago. Not to get too distracted, but that it is okay too. That our moments do not last forever, and tough as they may be, there's also a beauty in it. Space was so prevalent in sound, and I didn't seek this theme out, but it felt like the universe knew exactly what I needed to tie everything together. I hope through light and truth, sadness, urges to dance, frustration, and distortion of sounds carries you and lets you flow a bit too. Remember, this is only the beginning still. And it's like very on brand with that idea of like just beginning to have the nurtureship that you're looking for, essentially. So, yes, it's funny because a lot of my months have felt like that, like very, yes, very in the beginning and interesting in the middle, and then like the ending of the month gets really tough for some reason. So, it's been this like nice cycle, I would say. Kind of how this has all been working. I really do get like the inspiration or like the pre-calling very early on, and it's like either a week or like a couple of days before a new month begins that I start to feel like the new energy and like the new wave, and I like really have been riding on that. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not sure. I think my allergies are really messing with me because like I'm not sick, but I just don't like that it's affecting like how I'm talking, you know what I'm saying? So that's fun. But yeah, everything just loves to not be set in stone for me. But I'm also, guys, like straight up terrible, like person to prepare myself for success. And I think like that's important to like recognize a little bit too. So yeah, what I was telling you guys though was like how this has all been happening. So I get the onset really early on, sprinkle a couple of songs, but the month kind of does the work for me. Like it just so happens that like we've been getting a really nice influx of music and like often. So we have a good couple albums that have been coming out a month, but we've also, like life is what it is and you might discover whatever at any given time. So it's really felt like that. Like everything's really flowed to itself. And I feel like it's been really nice because it's also helped me be like in that part of like just letting go, and everything will kind of come to you, the things that you need especially. So it's cool that a lot of things that have found me have been like with elements of like space and stuff. And it's like in the sound, it's in the titles, it's in the projects. Like it's been really cool. This month is when I started to see that kind of theme though a lot more than not. The cool thing about these mics is they kind of shut out the other noise, but if you can hear, there's a bit of zoo playing. I want to say Zoo released his album around this time or a little bit earlier. Actually, he had dropped his album a little bit earlier towards the new year. What did I say? Whatever. I don't remember when he dropped his album. But I liked. This is such a cool beat. It does have that like Powerpuff Girl like track beat that's like really popularized right now, but everything around it is so cool. Like it's just so smooth. I don't know. I love it. I think I like Zoo a lot because he reminds me of a video game very often. Like, and video games have such cool soundtracks. We will be discussing on a video later in life. Like, let's put that out there that we're gonna put and make a video around game soundtracks. Okay, that was dope. And then towards the end of the month, wait, what was I gonna say? The titles have been different. Like the titles have not come to me early on. They were in the beginning, um, and through like the middle of the year, but like the more second half of this year has been a different kind of like development for things. I've kind of just let all of it come as it needs to come. So, like for example, I'm filming this early September for you guys, and I have no idea what I'm gonna name like my playlist this month. I'm getting ideas, but I don't know. It kind of changes. I will only make it set in stone when it fully comes to me and feels right. And if I feel like the poetry around it feels right as well, just because I really like that the titles have been more poetic or like they just make sense. You know what I mean? All right. You guys are probably like, shut the fuck up. With the music, I like to talk a little bit about the singles first, but I want to tell you guys a little bit how this one flowed looking at it, okay? So I opened this playlist with Arrival to the Garden of Cosmic Speculation. It's very on theme with this idea of watering your garden. Like you get there, you've landed, and it's like a space theme too. So it's like like the land is green and pixelated and has like little stars, like it's still very glowy and feminine, guys. Like this is important, okay? This is important. It's just ugh. And those little peaks of sunlight that you're getting are literally from all the stars in the distance of the galaxy, but they're enough and you feel their warmth. Okay? Ravina is a whole different conversation, but she perfectly set this playlist up for success. Interstellar Love is a song by the Avalanches, which I have never heard of in my life, but my friend sent it to me, and she originally sent me a very different song, and I found that one because, we like Leon Bridges too. So I was like, well, let me listen to what Leon Bridges is doing because he always does cool stuff. Loved that song. It just adds to the vibe, it adds to the flavor, and it also adds to this sense of warmth. Saturn, this is an important single we can talk about, guys. Saturn is a really good song. Like, it's beautiful. I almost feel like it's the I Hate You of this era, or like, yeah, like, I would say it's like the I Hate You kind of like feeling of this era. I think I have like slight frustration because I'm so confused with exactly what Sis is going to be doing or what her direction is going to be doing. It's partly her. I know it's partly her label, but like, girl, we just want the music. And sometimes I get frustrated with like just having random singles throughout like an era. Like, can you guys please place these things somewhere? Like, my organized brain cannot function without something being in like an official body of work. I do appreciate singles as they are, but like, I don't know. I just want things in a project all in one place where it makes sense. So that might be a me thing, but as a song, we need to slow down on like the songs we mass play, or at least how we mass play them. Because I just know this is like, I hear Saturn everywhere. I love it though. I always listen to it. I don't think I can hate that song at all. I just want distance from it so that I can appreciate it more a little bit when I do hear it, because it is that good of a song. The lyrics are fucking on brand. Like like I feel you, girl. Saturn is better. But yes, continue to add to the vibe, very planetary type of thing. Ariana dropped this month, so we'll talk about Ariana's album in full in a sec. Khruangbin was still releasing singles, and forgive me if I am not saying their name right, but I think that's how you say it. May 9th was their second single, and May 9th is a gorgeous song. I don't know if it's above A Love International for me, but it does feel very equal to, in terms of like, I wish we had an album full of May 9th and A Love International from them. But yes, Krongman will have a real conversation about, but they really added to the warmth that month, and like the stiller feeling. Mustang came out from Kings of Leon, and I can't remember if Mustang came out that month or a little bit earlier, and I just hadn't added it to the record, or like to the official like body. Um, but I felt really connected to it at this time. I remember, and it just felt very fun. It feels like a classic Kings of Leon. And a very old friend of mine, when we would talk about Kings of Leon, they are just good classic rock. That's it. Like, that is all I really like. Um and Mustang brought like an older, like, campier playfulness of like Kings of Leon back. And so I really liked it for that reason. And we'll talk about this a little bit more like throughout these videos, but I do feel like Kings of Leon, or like bands, really speak to my more like masculine feelings at times, and like can speak for the better part of me that is like boyish, but then like the girls just speak for like all the feminine parts of it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. I really like the balance. Neon Pill from Cage the Elephant. Okay, so I went on a spiral this year, guys, and I'm hoping to we'll see if Fabian does a deep dive to Cage the Elephant. Um, but I really was following them this year, and I really think that their album cover artwork caught my attention more than anything, which we've talked a little bit about that, how artwork can catch your attention and make you want to invest a little in something. And that's how I did with Cage the Elephant. Like, they're a really big name. I grew up on them, obviously, but I never invested in them, like, appropriately, I guess you could say. But this started my Cage the Elephant spiral. And they fucking rocked the shit out of that album. But we will talk about Cage the Elephant's record when it comes. But Neon Pill is on this record. It They just add to like the grittiness of the month, and like they like gently include like a bit of the more chaotic side of things. Nothing but thieves. You guys, Nothing But Thieves needs to be talked about a little bit more in this video. So I'm gonna save it for an album, um, in the album topic, okay? Blur also happened this month. You guys will have already seen the Blur video, but Strange News from Another Star is on here. Talk about it with albums. Fuck my life. I didn't mean to do that. Well, I see. It's funny because a lot of like albums, um, will release at the very end of a month, like on the last fucking day, and but it's not. You don't listen to it that month. Like it's not a February. Like this album came out in February, but it was the very very last day. It's a March album. I'm sorry because you listen. That's when you listen to it. Okay, so "Girl with No Face" is a single that I put on here by Ali X. Um, she just added to this vibe, like and Ali X made a really cool album, guys. I have to say this. I didn't save everything. I don't gravitate to everything that Ali X herself makes, but she made such a cool concept album. I also respected the artwork, and she made like there's a couple of songs that I saved from her new album. But "Girl with No Face" is so cool and like badass, and I just needed that like sort of like confidence, nostalgia factor really placed in there. "Dizzy" by Ali Alexander is a very good pop song, and my boy still has it. He just has to focus a little bit more too. Me too, though, buddy. Me too. Me too. Cigarettes After Sex started to roll out their album around this time, and they came out with Tejano Blue, and like I was obsessed with it. And the weird thing is, I was like not so excited for a Cigarettes After Sex album, but they just kept coming out with good song after good song, and like they made a really good album. So we'll talk about their work later down the line. My other friend, it was very important to me this year to kind of really be attentive to the things people make for me as well, because I feel like we can forget, or like we're getting to a point where the art of making someone a playlist and like spending that time isn't like as appreciated anymore. I see. But yeah, so it's like not as appreciated anymore as I feel like it should be. Um because I remember like it it being it being like a very romantic kind of feeling, and like not in a like you're in love with somebody kind of way, but it feels that important, or like getting a handwritten letter or something like that. Like it's the same kind of feeling, and I feel like now playlists are so overexposed. I feel like a lot of people are really overwhelmed. They don't really know where to start. Um and yeah, so I don't know. I personally always will enjoy making them, and making them for other people. I like the feeling around it, but it's also really hard to like give out all that energy into that aspect. So then when like you receive, your attention isn't there as always. So this year was really important for me to put that attention back into people. Um, and she had a really good song on her playlist, and it had to be a part of this month. And it is a song called "Mother" by Florence and the Machine. And I don't know how I ever overlooked this song, but I love being proven wrong sometimes, especially in music. And like, I love How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful so much. And I remember there being like two or three songs that I hadn't saved. And you know what it is too? Like, I have just grown to like things a lot differently over the years. Like, as much as I've always loved longer songs, I was not that attentive with them. Um, and the cool thing about music is that longer songs like that have so much more within it, but you have to wait for it. Like, you have to be ready to enjoy the slow burn to get there. So I have a feeling that's what happened with this song. That when that album came out and I listened to it, I must have cut that song off after like a minute and a half or something and never looked back. Um and so it was a really nice surprise. It was really, really nice. And it gives that like feminine anger that like really speaks for a lot of things. Um and yeah, amongst other things, ha ha ha. We already started with Zoo. He was sprinkled in this month. I want to say he either came out with a deluxe or an official album. Um but we can talk about him again in a sec. I keep saying that, but I swear to God, we're going to talk about some of these guys. Um, Take three, Inner Wave. If you guys don't know this band, get with it. Hopefully this works. I want to see. Okay, listen to Inner Wave. Get with the program. They are such a good band. I don't know 100% if they are queer or not. I can be proven wrong 100% on this. Um, but they are not afraid of their femininity, I guess you can say. They are putting out such a cool album, and it is like a collaborative. I don't know if I like that. It's a collaborative, like remix album of their already work, but it continues on the feeling that that album came from. And I want to say that one was called Apoptosis. So it's really cool that this year they were like reinventing this album of theirs, and it also added to this very like galactic spatial twinkly star vibe. And it was just a really cool pick me up in the record. After I it's after Saturn's interlude in this, but we'll talk about that later. So it felt like this really nice breakaway. um Bex, Everybody's Gotta Learn Sometime. We ended up watching Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. We had never watched that movie before, and that song that song did many things. That might be like one of the best songs ever. It's a standout track on this playlist, and it speaks for a lot of things. So I'll let you listen to it when you get there. Santorini, I always like to include real life moments. I went to go see Christian Curia by myself. It was a solo date night for me, and I seen him in concert, and it was just beautiful. Like, it was such a beautiful experience. It was in one of the most intimate venues that I could say in Chicago. Like, you are literally just like really in a room with a person. um and so it's really nice to hear a show that way, like very, very raw. um that man's voice is beautiful. Like, if you guys do not know Christian Curia, like, get with it. I'm like being so serious. R&B artist, R&B alternative artist, gorgeous voice. And Santorini Live was a track that really stood out to me, and I always want to remember that experience. So it's solidified somewhere. Um, okay, those are the singles. Let's talk about some albums. Yes. Yes, it's album time. So, we don't have too many to talk about today. I will let you guys know. You will have already seen the Blur reaction, the Blur deep dive, but during March, I did do a deep dive of Blur's 1997 album. Really, it was really calling to me for some reason at a time, and this like the 90s alternative, like the dark, gritty grunge alt, you discovered people really listen to this unintentionally, like it just appeared, and I really wish that we got to kind of experience that, but I'm so grateful that I get to discover all this music. You know what I'm saying? It is at the tip of our fucking fingers. And Blur is something else, but you guys are going to see a deep dive. You guys will have seen the deep dive, and if you haven't, go watch it. It's on the channel. Okay. MGMT. MGMT, and I may break them down a lot more later, but to put it simply, I think MGMT came out with the record of the year. They've done nothing with it. Well, not that I follow them enough, even now, but it's my favorite album of the year. Like them and Ravina, and I'm hoping to do another video on all of this um, in a different conversation. But man, they really rocked the fuck out of an alternative album. Um, Minimal fucking collaborations. Like it was really focused around the music and the beautiful, beautiful cover. That's also what got me with MGMT this year. Same thing. I know more of them than I knew of Cage the Elephant, but like I even made this very romantic video once upon a time, um, in a completely different relationship to a cover of an MGMT song that was just completely different from the original. It was a gorgeous thing, but since then I have avoided them, and this may have healed a part of me. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. The songs that I put in the playlist, though, that really stood out to me that month, that very early on, was Dancing in Babylon featuring Christine the Queens. Never expected that, but they rocked the fuck out of that collaboration. It's so perfect. It's like a perfect alternative song, and I love when they include a little bit more of an upbeat dance sort of instrumental by the end of it. Um, love that song, and it really added to this bouncy playfulness. We might be having a tough time, but we're still having fun between all of this. We're accepting things. We want things to be warmer. We want things to be lighter. We want to be fun. Okay. We also, towards the end, two very important songs. Nothing Changes might be like a song of the year contender. Beautiful throughout, through and through, all 6 minutes and 35 seconds of that song, perfect. The bridge part throws me off a little bit, um, but it's the way that they flow right back into it after the bridge that just completely pulls it together, and it's not enough of a disruption to ruin a song for me. And it's not even a bad inclusion. It's just something that my ear, I think, has to get a little bit used to when I am listening to that song. But one of my favorites from the records, Nothing Changes. I Wish I Was Joking is a shorter song, but it's also included, and it really speaks to this like you wouldn't believe me, but I'm not fucking around kind of feeling that added into this, that it's like the things I don't speak about for real out loud, like, yeah, they're dead ass, like, they're so real. Um and it really felt like a part of my like the unbelievable things that happen for me in life. Like, I really wish I was joking, and this song really spoke for a lot of that kind of feeling. Um because like there's all this good, there's all this bad, and as positive of a person as I am, there's a lot of things that I deal with that, people don't realize. We all do. And I don't blame people for theirs. And I feel like when it comes to things I start to speak about, like, like you wouldn't believe, guys, the way people don't give a fuck about my shit. That's it. But I know where all of my care comes from in life, and I'm grateful for them, and that's that. That's all I can say on that. So, MGMT, beautiful record for me, like 9.5 out of 10. Probably favorite album of the year. We'll see what happens though at the by the end, and we will be discussing her in greater detail later. The other really important albums that have come out. So let's talk about some women, because I know that's y'all's favorite thing. But what we're not going to do here is compare anybody. We will be honest. That's it. Let's talk about Casey Musgraves first. It's been a very hard pill for me to swallow. That country is our main sound this year. I'm not a fan of country like that beforehand. All I can say is that this year has made me grateful for it, appreciative of it, understand where it comes from, and respect it. But I feel like we're drowning in like the country influence. And I can also be real that a lot of my favorite bands have actually had a lot more country influence than I was prepared for. And it's possible that country is a form of, was started a form of slow rock that became into heavier things. But you know what? Our fucking genre took off, y'all. That's all I have to say. And love her for it. So, sorry, I always go off on a tangent. Casey is true country though. So I already knew what I was going to into this. It was lighter, it was softer. Um and I loved it. I actually really liked her album, and it really spoke to a lot of the spiritual aspects that I was going through at that time. And so I was really appreciative of it, and like really took that album a little bit closer to heart. It's not my favorite album of the year. Um I'm not sure of its longevity just yet. I haven't really felt super gravitated to go back. The songs that I really liked from it, which were like a solid 6 or 7 that I can remember, I when they come on, I listen to them, I enjoy them. But I can say like I'm not Casey's number one fan. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But beautiful album. I do want to go back and revisit it just because I know she came out with a deluxe. I haven't gotten around to it. I think a little bit more later in this year when I am ready to like buckle down and make my more like country inspired playlist, I will have a lot more appreciation and like heartfelt things to say around those records. Um, but Casey was very inspirational for me at a time in March, and also joined in on helping me pick up my feet and be a lot more serious about certain things. Like March was definitely a very like wake up call kind of month. And her and Ariana were very like in line with that kind of emotion for me. So let's talk about Ariana. Ariana had finally dropped Eternal Sunshine. I am a big fan of Ariana's rollout. Um, like, yes, Anne came. It was unexpected. It was this dance beat. People feel that it's a bit of an outlier on the record. Um, but I feel like I was prepared for her album. She's had enough time for me to where Like I could have gone maybe one more year without an Ariana record. Uh, but I'm grateful that we got this now. Because I have a really fun time with Eternal Sunshine, and she's also on a top albums list for me this year. I think she made a also like a 9 out of 10 record for sure, maybe even higher. Because conceptually, she killed that shit. I have not seen a mainstream artist make a record around film, like inspired by film. People so often don't talk about their inspiration they get from film. Like, we all have to remember that film is one of our first loves, too. So, which we will be talking about later. I would like to talk about movies and stuff, but it's just not something I'm ready for. Um, but back to Eternal Sunshine. The singles were so cool, and then to just have Yes and be given the body of work so that we could listen to through and through was really nice. She was playing around with all of the red, the photo shoots coming out was really nice. But the coolest thing was that around the album release was when she did all of those live performances. You could tell she was slightly even nervous in her very first one coming back. Um, Her voice is beautiful. It's matured. She is like a very fully realized woman to me. Like, and the cool thing about Ari is I still feel like we don't even know her 100%, but she gives us so much, you know? And so, I don't know. I have grown to have a very soft spot and a very light love for Ariana Grande. Like, I respect the hell out of her as a larger based pop star that has that sort of humble nature to her. She just loves her animals. She loves art for it being art. Like, she also has her physical hand in the production of her work, even though she still has a team. You know how much they support her. And, like, obviously, she is very lucky for that. Like, to be in that position. It hasn't come without, like, its own sacrifices, though. So, I'm sorry, this has such a ramble, but man, Ariana, ugh, we can talk about Ariana for days. I know that there's more to the era, and she's stretching the length of it. I think I do feel like her focus, as of now, we're in September, is a bit detached because she's focused on Wicked, and I respect that too. Like, this was unexpected for her. It was an unexpected art project. It was unexpected for us. So we are no one to be rushing when we get, the expected extra singles. They could be very much in line with a tour rollout. Like, we have no idea, and I just think it's really fun that Eternal Sunshine is still very present. Um, Not as heavily as I would enjoy. Like, We Are Your Friends really took off, and I feel like it's such a sadder song. Like that would have been perfect for right now this time, rather than the summer. But We Are Your Friends feels very in line with songs like Driftin' or Birds of a Feather. Even Simple by Kali Uchis is in that line. But those are songs we'll talk about later down the line. It just, there's like this, like, sadness is just the tone throughout that, even though it's like kind of dancey as it is, it's more sad than anything. So, um, but there's a lot in there. Like, The Boy Is Mine was heavily marketed this time around, like extra music videos. She's kind of like the 365, 36, 35 of this era, I would say. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm making sense. I just like talking, especially about this stuff. So, yeah, Eternal Sunshine overall, conceptually very good. She nailed it. It's very on par with the album. You don't really know what's true or what's not true, and I love that. It makes sense for both things, and that's what's impressive. So Ariana killed that one. I love Imperfect for You. I even like the songs that people don't like. Like I Wish I Hated You was really part of my month this year. Saturn's Interlude is probably funny enough going to be like a top listened to song this year just because I appreciate the message and I just love the reminder so much. Like it always regrounds me, and spiritually I felt connected to this one a lot. I do think we'll discuss Ariana a little bit more in a top 10 album video towards the end of the year. The last album, though, I do want to talk about with you guys is Nothing But Thieves dropped a deluxe of Dead Club City, and thank God for it. Dead Club City is a really good album. I just knew that they needed a little extra oomph added to it. And while these songs don't necessarily also have the exact amount of oomph that I know Nothing But Thieves has, they did complete the record for me. Like, Hear You is definitely up there in some of my favorite Nothing But Thieves songs. Time, Fate, Karma God was on this playlist as well. It very much spoke to this like spatial element. Like it, it was so cool. It was an upbeat song that adds to like this character. Like a lot of this is just a lot of who I am. And then Tomorrow is Closed. They released the stripped version of it, and Tomorrow is Closed is a fun song as it is, but then they made it sad. You already know I'm there. Of course I would be there. So they really like a lot. I feel like a lot of this is a more simple playlist, I would say, because a lot of the artists are repeated. Um, but they really made it for me. And this just this is one of my favorite playlists of this year so far, even still. I don't know if it's my top, but it might be second or third, just because it really spoke to who I was at this time. And I'm not far from that person. And I still have a lot that I could be learning from who I was in March just by like remembering things. But like I've also like really grown from where that person is too. And I'm like proud of that a lot. Um, but it's just how authentic each chapter has really felt since then. And so like I don't know, I'm excited to talk to you guys about the rest of them too. Um Ultimately, thank you for bearing with me throughout this video. It's really hard for me to sit still sometimes. It's sometimes also hard for me to gather my thoughts. So for the sake of me and for the sake of like this, I will probably be um I can't even say that. We followed a nice little routine here, I would say. But thank you guys for listening to me talk and ramble about some music. The point of these is just to kind of reflect a little on a given time, share that, and have a nice little conversation. Have a nice little conversation and talk about my favorite thing. That's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening. Those are kind of all the albums and singles that kind of made this up. Very, on theme with what I feel like the month felt like ultimately, and how that kind of like just spoke to me a little bit more louder. Um, Love that playlist. I'm excited to talk about our next playlist, but there's the two after. Those may be some discussions, like some real discussions. So I hope you're enjoying this little series, and I hope to get them out a little bit more consistently. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.